20 viewer does to give one reformed robber a Christmas to remember. Friday.
Should Florida's legislators be able to serve a third term? Tonight we investigate House and Senate bills that would give our state politicians a shot to extend their tenure in Tallahassee. That story.
ABC 7's Primetime is brought to you by Gettle Nissan.
The holidays are here, and so is Toyotathon.
Wrap up a great year-end deal on a reliable Toyota, like 0% APR financing on many of our most popular models. And every new Toyota comes with a 2 years or 25,000 miles no-cost maintenance plan. Right now with the Toyotathon sales event, get a 2-year no-cost maintenance lease on a new 2016 Toyota Corolla LE for $159 a month plus $500 holiday bonus cash. That's just $159 a month.
Make the holidays happier at Toyotathon. Uh-oh.
Toyota, let's go places. It's the perfect time to get the gift you've waited for all year. The redesigned Honda Accord, complete with a new look, improved fuel efficiency, and Pandora compatibility standard. Hurry into the Happy Honda Day sales event where you can get a great deal on the Accord, the most durable, longest-lasting car in its class. Now at your Honda dealer.
Live from our studios on Florida's Suncoast, this is ABC 7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. Topping our news tonight, for years, an apartment complex in Bradenton has been notorious for crime and drug activity. The good news is an effort is underway to change that, to get rid of the criminals and drug dealers. Who could be against that? Well, there is a backlash. The board at the Sanctuary of Bradenton wants to increase maintenance fees and require criminal background checks for tenants. Some residents say the board's decision is discriminatory. Others say it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, I think they are trying to push certain people out, and it's difficult for them to find other places to live.
Oh, I love it. It's cleaned up a whole lot. Lots of renovation as far as the painting goes. The place looks better. A lot of better people moving in.
With the improvements being made, owners say the sanctuary has property values that have increased. Tonight, investigators are trying to figure out why a Central Florida man drove his Mercedes off the south end of the Sunshine Skyway fishing pier. Witnesses say Richard McCrocklin was standing next to his car when suddenly he hopped in and drove off the pier. Hours later, divers from St. Pete Fire Rescue located the submerged vehicle with the driver still inside. The investigation continues. McCrocklin was the only person inside the vehicle. Bradenton residents near a lake on Palma Sola Boulevard say an algae bloom on the water is causing them health problems. Those who live nearby say they started noticing an odor from the pond a few weeks ago. Now the surface is covered in a white milky substance as a result of an algae bloom.
I suggested maybe they need to call a mandatory evacuation of the area, and so they're looking into that. But in the meantime, we're wasting time here if people are getting sick.
Some residents are leaving the area for the holidays to avoid the risk of health problems. Cell phones, tablets, gaming devices, tech toys are topping kids' Christmas list for this year, but they can also make kids vulnerable. Attorney General Pam Bondi is asking parents to talk to their children about cyber safety. Predators often target kids through online games, social media, and phone apps. Some Suncoast parents are already being proactive.
Actually don't let them access anything on their devices as far as the internet goes. I have it all on parental controls.
I'm lucky I'm a little bit proficient in technology, so I put a secure network in my house.
They do seem to want it younger and younger, so that's something that I'm concerned about.
Keep track of what they're logging on to, and we do all the parental controls.
Bondi says a child's safety is more important than their privacy. Parents should know their children's passwords and review their phones, social media sites, and other online activity. The search for Bradenton's next police chief continues, but in the interim, Chief Michael Raslowski will be staying a little bit longer than he planned. The city intended to hire someone by the start of December. The opening drew more than 100 applications. Until someone is chosen, Raslowski will remain on the job. This might be the best Christmas yet for more than 1,600 foster children in Florida. Some are going home to visit loved ones. Others have been adopted in time for the holidays. DCF says it worked with local agencies and judges to reunite 1,300 children with their siblings, parents, or extended families. Another 266 will spend their first holiday with their new families through adoption. The initiative gets children into homes faster by finalizing adoptions with new parents, by expediting background screenings, court orders, and travel arrangements. And Steve, I can't think of any better Christmas gift than that.
We're certainly getting Chamber of Commerce and Department of Tourism weather. That's a great Christmas gift. It's for the local economy because it is warm today. It was warmer today than we've ever been before on Christmas Eve. And tomorrow is likely to be the warmest Christmas we've ever had as well. Take a look at our weather across Sarasota Bay today from our Van Wezel cam, and it's a gorgeous day. Even with the high clouds, it's filtering out the sun. Tonight it'll filter out the full moon that will come full at 6:11. This is the first full moon you're looking at tonight on a Christmas. It'll be Christmas Day when it's full. First time that's happened since Star Wars was premiering, the first one back in 1977. Now here are the numbers for today. We reached 85, broke the previous record of 84 back in 2008. We were thinking that maybe El Nino was contributing to this, but I went back in the records. Actually, 2008 was a La Nina year. So I think it's a combination of El Nino and climate change that pushed us over the top today. Look at the flow coming in from the south. That's a pattern we're going to have right on for the next 2-3 weeks probably. Maybe a little bit cooler at the new year, but only for a day or so. And by tomorrow afternoon, some scattered showers, some scattered clouds. Saturday, look here, you see a little bit more in the way of showers coming in from the southeast. We'll take a look at that and give you a 40% chance of showers on Saturday. But for tonight, you'll have that full moon. The null moon through high clouds, our low temperature 69 degrees, average is 52. And for tomorrow, here's your record coming in with a high of 86. My neck is still out there. I've been predicting a high of 86 for the last 5 days. The average high is 72, the previous record 84. And here is the 7-day outlook showing that we will continue warm right on through the weekend and early part of next week. Maybe on New Year's Eve, we might see things cool off just a little bit.
Okay, thanks a lot, Steve. And still to come, should state leaders be able to serve in their positions longer? And is it time to give them a pay raise? We look into the proposals to do just that when we come back.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC 7, your Suncoast News.
Not all fats and foods are created equal. How some help people lose weight in Health Smart.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Get the lowest prices of the year during the year-end blockbuster sales event going on now at Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota, where you'll always get better prices and a bigger selection. Get a brand new 2016 Grand Caravan for just $19,999, or save over $3,600 on a new Dodge Journey. Stop by today and get up to $8,000 off a new Ram truck. Better prices, bigger selection. Go to Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota.
They took that stress and that tension after that nasty car accident, and it was such a relief to know that I didn't have to bear that burden alone, that I had help.
At Sunset Subaru in Sarasota, the season of sharing lasts all year. Buying a new Subaru means you'll have more time to share with your new vehicle. Choosing a Subaru could even mean more time to share with the ones you love. And the Subaru Forester shares more accumulated awards than any other small SUV on the road. Lease a new Subaru Forester for as little as $224 a month during the Subaru Share the Love event. Get more for your money. Go to Sunset Subaru in Sarasota.
ABC 7 weather is brought to you by Sunset Subaru.
A move in Tallahassee is underway to increase the salaries of state lawmakers and not to do away with term limits, but to allow them to run for an additional term in office. Now, I know what many of you are saying right now at home, but wait a minute, there may be a legitimate argument. ABC7's Max Winitz explains.
With only a year left to go in her tenure, State Senator Arthenia Joyner wants to give her peers in Tallahassee a parting gift, an increase in their salaries.
When I went in, the salary was $28,500, and 15 years later, it's $29,700.
From $29,700 to $50,000 a year, a 68% boost, the first pay raise for Florida lawmakers since 2007. If passed, it would take effect in July 2017.
It's labeled a part-time job when in reality, I've spent more time in Tallahassee this year than I've spent at home.
The Tampa Democrat is sold on the idea that a higher salary would encourage more people to run for office, not just lawyers and business owners.
I want to see a diversification of the membership of the Florida legislature so that we can have some good, common sense, everyday working people having input into the decisions that we make.
The decision to increase salaries is not one that Representative Jim Boyd supports. The Manatee County Republican, who also runs an insurance agency, says he's happy making less than $30,000 as a legislator.
I think $29,000 is a lot of money, and I think it's commensurate with the work that we do. And besides that, it's going to come out of taxpayers' pockets. So whatever happens, the taxpayers are going to pay for. I think, you know, we're getting paid a fair salary for what we do now.
And there's another bill up in Tallahassee right now that would benefit lawmakers that Senator Joyner is supportive of. It would increase term limits from 8 years to 12. If passed, Floridians would vote on the constitutional amendment in 2016. It would only apply to newly elected senators and representatives.
By the time you learn where the bathroom is, almost it's time to go. I really think that we need to give people an opportunity to utilize the knowledge that they've acquired in the first 4 years and give them 8 years to be effective and to get things done.
In 2015, Florida lawmakers had an issue getting things done, from a battle over the budget to disagreements over redistricting. That's part of the reason why Dr. Rich Swire, the author of an online political magazine, isn't rallying behind either piece of legislation.
My point is that salaries and term limits go hand in hand. If you increase both or either, you're going to get a elite political class. And that's what I think Americans right now don't want, which is why we're seeing the rise of non-politicians, even at the presidential level. We're seeing the rise of a non-politician that is unheard of.
So would it be unheard of if each bill passes? ABC7 political contributor Frank Alcock.
I'll be surprised if these bills get traction, in part because of, I think optically it'll be a bit problematic. And there are a lot of legislators right now that are either independently wealthy and or are subsidized and are doing just fine.
Senator Joyner is also sponsoring legislation that would give a pay raise to all state workers. It's something that hasn't happened in the last 8 years. Reporting tonight in the newsroom, Max Winitz, ABC7, your Suncoast News. Alan, back to you.
Thanks, Max. When we return, our roundtable.
This week on Millionaire, those melodies in your head.
I watched Batman all the time when I was a kid. Na 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 na. Batman.
Sound even sweeter.
I was really feeling Springsteen.
That's where I would go.
When tunes can score you big money.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going for it.
You're going home with at least $50,000.
This week.
4 questions separates you from $1 million. Wow.
On Millionaire. Tonight at 7:30 on ABC7.
At Granny Nannies, we provide your loved ones with the care they deserve, compassionate and experienced help right where you need it most, at home. Visit us at grannynannies.com.
A helping hand and a gentle heart.
Harness the power of connection with the Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance, connecting, educating, and strengthening the business community in the Lakewood Ranch region. Join today at lwrba.org.
more quality inclusions than any other resorts on the planet. Book now and save up to 65%. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
Oh, what fun it is!
To Nissan's holiday event for the season's best offers.
For a limited time, lease Rogue just $209 per month, or get a $139 per month lease on Sentra. Shop your local Nissan store and choose Nissan.com.
Welcome back. Current term limits have been part of Florida's state constitution since 1992, but should we allow legislators to serve more than just 8 years? Joining us for more on that debate is Keith Fitzgerald, a professor of political science at New College of Florida, Susan Nylon of the Nylon Report, and joining us on the phone is Florida Representative Mark Pafford. He serves as minority leader in the House and is sponsoring the House bill to increase term limits. Thank you all for joining us. And Representative Pafford, let me start with you, because you could imagine people are sitting at home today and they don't like politicians to begin with, and they want to throw the bums out, and here comes legislation that, if approved, would allow representatives and state senators to stay in the legislature longer. So make your case.
Sure. Well, it's pretty easy, and thank you for having me on, especially with your guests. It's very kind to invite me. It's quite a simple deal. First of all, it's a bipartisan bill, number one. Number two, it's a bill based on experience and based on the notion that as much as people may not like politicians and we may not always give them the opportunity to like us, there is a problem, an overall problem with the legislature. And that actually is demonstrated through polling, which shows that the legislature actually has a worse likability than the governor. So clearly there's something wrong. This bill basically sets out to correct a component of what can make the legislature better and bring the legislature back to the people, as opposed to a quite despicable display annually of 60 days of horse trading and decisions made on the value of $1 as opposed to the value of 20 million Floridians.
Keith, let me
go ahead.
Keith Fitzgerald, let me ask you. You are also a former member of the State House of Representatives. What is the problem up there in terms of how the system operates now in terms of lobbyists and professional staff?
So what we have to start with is a recognition that the whole system is corrupt. I'm not talking about the corruption of individuals taking cash in exchange for votes. I'm talking about just how the whole thing works. So individual politicians are completely dependent on their future career, is completely dependent on the aides and the interest groups who provide them with all, and their party. So, the things are not, people feel like they're out of touch with them, because they are, because they're completely dependent on the lobbyists who will give them money for their campaigns, and they're completely dependent on the staff and the insiders. The less time they're there, the more dependent they are. So that's the paradox of this. If I were listening to this, I think it sounds crazy too, but it actually diagnoses the problem correctly.
Susan, it is counterintuitive that
Sure.
People like the fact that state representatives and state senators will spend a limited time up there. They don't want career politicians, but as Keith just said, the power has shifted from the legislature to lobbyists, which may well be less popular than politicians.
Well, and I agree with Keith. It's not just the lobbyists, it's the legislative aides, it's the staffers who have been there for a really long time. They become very important. And bureaucrats that are solely dependent, or actually the representatives are solely dependent on them, because once you're termed out, somebody new comes in. Think about how many years it takes for somebody to actually get in the groove up there. On top of the fact that you have a lot of people that won't consider running because somebody's about to be termed out. So they're going to wait. So you have a whole bunch of people that are waiting until it's an open seat. I mean,
Representative Pafford, let me ask you this, because by any measure of standards, the last legislative session was a disaster. The legislature gave up before passing a budget. The two redistricting special sessions failed. How would your proposal change that dynamic?
Well, number one, look, the electorate needs to take some responsibility here and stop electing people that know their name and smile and actually have an idea in terms of what issues are about. That's number one. Number two, this bill provides that period for members of the legislature to get up to speed on issues. Right now, members are elected to the legislature, and they're already elected speaker of a house in, 3 sessions, 4 sessions away. The control isn't by the voter. The control of this process is exactly what Representative Fitzgerald said, Professor Fitzgerald, and that is it is controlled by big cash. Many members, frankly, are tools of industries, and they're sent there to complete a task. They are part of a business type of operation on the outside. And you think about an $80 billion budget, how much of those tax dollars go to individual corporations? This type of expansion of terms would provide the expertise, the skills, the knowledge, and also allow members to get better at issues as opposed to being completely dependent on the external forces. One very important thing for people to remember, I'm termed out. The other bill sponsor of the Senate, it's Senator Garcia, a Republican. This bill will not impact any current serving legislator. It'll only begin in 2016. So this won't extend anybody's terms. I'm not getting anything out of this. Nobody who's currently elected is, and that's very important. And this is going to put the emphasis back on the voter. They're going to have to do a little thinking, and they're going to have to begin electing people that represent them and ideas that are a little more progressive like this.
But Keith, we're living in an environment now, when you even just look at the presidential race, that people hate government. At least some people hate government. So I would imagine if something like this passed, there would be tremendous amount of blowback, whether or not it would benefit current state legislators or not.
Well, understand that Representative Pafford is asking for the people to make a choice on this through a constitutional amendment. So if it passes, it only passes because 60% of the people want it. But listen, I agree with you. Politics in this country is broken, and the higher up the food chain you go, the worse it is. But when you say people hate government, they actually support Social Security. They actually support Medicaid. They want veterans' benefits to work better. They want to be able to have some help from the government to send their kids to college, so on and so on and so forth. So it's not what government actually does when it does policy right that it hates. It's the process, which stinks because it's controlled by moneyed interests and insiders. And so this is a paradox. It doesn't sound like something that would put power back in the hands of the people, but it's one step. I have a host of other things I'd like to see happen. Campaign finance reform, redistricting reform. Those things are important too, because it's got to shift power back to the people.
We should bring up the fact that there's also current legislation to increase the salary of state legislators with slate tours, which now is around $29,000 a year. It would bump it up to $50,000 a year. Susan, do you have a position on that?
Yeah, I think they should. I think they are way underpaid, and I get the initial reaction is you don't like your state rep or you don't like your state senator, you feel they get paid too much. But think about all the people who would actually like to run and can't afford to live on that salary, or don't have the luxury of having the wealth to be able to have that as a part-time job and not worry about the income. There's a lot of people that would benefit, and I think our government would benefit if we actually raise the salaries.
We have less than 30 seconds left, but Representative Pafford, I'm going to give you the last word. It's a bipartisan bill, but what do you think the chances are?
I think the chances are limited, largely because the leadership in Tallahassee is so abusive to doing things with integrity. They will kill the bill.
Well, unfortunately, we have to leave it there. Thanks to you all for joining us, and we'll be back in a moment.
It's the grand opening of the all-new Nissan of Venice. Just take a test drive and you could win a brand new 2016 Nissan Altima. Plus, purchase any vehicle and get up to $3,000 cash back. The all-new Nissan of Venice.
Care and precision marked by the fine details that showcase the quality of a craftsman and the passion of a true artist. Pieces that inspire, that express so much without saying a single word, where past treasures can continue in new hands. A glimmer, a sparkle, the light that dazzles and amazes. McCarver & Moser Jewelers, 36 years of excellence.
Sunset Cadillac, Sarasota, Bradenton, Venice, and sunsetcadillac.com.
Join us for the Sarasota YMCA 13th Annual Wild Automotive Family Ringling Bridge Run, Saturday, January 16th, 2016. Your participation supports family programs and charities throughout our community. The challenging 4-mile trek over the iconic Ringling Bridge has been a welcome test for runners of all ages and abilities, and it's once again our pleasure to welcome you to this fun-filled event. Register online today at ringlingbridgerun.com.
Sometimes, no matter how hard people try, they cannot find their way out of financial crisis, and with limited options, choose homelessness as the solution. Thanks to your donation to Season of Sharing, local agencies are able to provide assistance to those on the verge of homelessness, their fighters, their friends, their children, their neighbors. Let's help give them hope. Together, we can make a difference. Donate today at cfsarasota.org.
It's the grand opening of the all-new Nissan of Venice. Just take a test drive and you could win a brand new 2016 Nissan Altima. Plus, purchase any vehicle and get up to $3,000 cash back. The all-new Nissan of Venice.
Welcome back. If you'd like to join the conversation on tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And that is all the time we have for this evening. There is no show tomorrow, but we will be back on Monday, the 28th. I'm Alan Cohen. Have a great night from all of us here at ABC 7 at 7. Happy holidays.
Get the lowest prices of the year during the year-end Blockbuster sales event going on now at Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota, where you'll always get better prices and a bigger selection. Get a brand new 2016 Jeep Cherokee for under $21,000. Come in today and get a new Jeep Renegade for just $16,999, or a 2016 Patriot for just $15,999. Better prices, bigger selection. Go to Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota.
So I started washing my car, and I started feeling really lightheaded and chest pain. I looked up, and there was this billboard, and I thought, you got to be kidding me. That's when I knew I had to get to Venice Regional. I just made it to the hospital and passed out at the door and needed a quadruple bypass. You got to know the signs of a heart attack. That billboard saved my life.
Venice Regional Bayfront Health, one of America's top 50 cardiovascular hospitals and the only one on Florida's West Coast.
They took that stress and that tension after that nasty car accident, and it was such a relief to know that I didn't have to bear that burden alone, that I had help.
It's the perfect time to get the gift you've waited for all year. The redesigned Honda Accord, complete with a new look, improved fuel efficiency, and Pandora compatibility standard. Hurry into the Happy Honda Day sales event, where you can get a great deal on the Accord, the most durable, longest-lasting car in its class. Now at your Honda dealer.
My name is John White. I'm the owner of Fisherman's Outfitter in Gloucester, Massachusetts, supplying fishing tackle to people all over the world. It's very important for my customers to be able to reach me from one of their devices, whether it be a phone or a tablet. My site is mobile responsive. ABC7 Digital Media has given us the ability to change products, add products, change prices. I'll tell you what, if you're looking to build a website for your business, I highly recommend ABC7 digital media.
Types of timber, cuts of meat, cooking times, temperatures, rubs, seasonings, sauces. You name it, they know it. That's what makes them who they are. Sonny's Pitmasters.